Welcome to Boomhouse69's YouTube channel, and today's video, I'm going to do another talking video in my garage here. This right here, some people have probably seen this before in the background and wondering, oh, he's got a running lawnmower. Well, it don't run. It's something I actually got for free. I got it non-running for free. I knew it wasn't running. A person gave it to me for free and warned me that they one day was mowing grass with it, and then it just all of a sudden up and quit, and they didn't want to mess with it, and so they just gave it to me. It's an older riding lawnmower. It's one of the older Craftsman 10 horsepower motor in the back. And one of these days when I got a truck and trailer, I'm going to load this up on the trailer and probably take it to a small engine repair shop or find somebody I know when I have free time to do so. Find somebody that could either come to my house and diagnose why this isn't running. What this thing does is, the last time I messed with it, I would jump the battery, turn the key, and it would act like it wants to run, where it would crank over and act like it wants to run, but for some reason it just would not run. If you put take the air filter out and shoot gas down the carburetor, sometimes the carburetor would gas in directly into the carburetor, would make it run for a little bit and then shut off. And I tried messing a little bit around with the carburetor, best of my abilities, shoot carb cleaner everywhere, and I don't, and that still didn't really do anything. And then plus the way the spark plug coil wire looks, there might even be a possibility a weak spark plug coil, and therefore it would have to be taken off and a new coil on. One time on an old mini bike I had, an old 3 horsepower Brinks and Stratton side shaft mini bike, I put a new spark plug coil on that one time on a 3 horsepower and was able to make that this old mini bike I had home. It was a homemade mini bike. Long time ago. This was back when I was in high school and before I even thought about doing YouTube. I bought off the internet for around $100 an old project mini bike, and it was a homemade mini bike frame and a 3 horsepower motor, and I simply was able to get that running. And then after a while, riding up and down a dirt road and stuff, and not having an air filter on it, carburetor gummed up on that little mini bike, and then I parked it and never did nothing with it. And then later on, I ended up just getting rid of it, and I kind of wish I would have kept the frame and put a newer motor on it now, years later, when I think about that frame, because it was a homemade mini bike frame that had lots of room, and you could have easily put a decent sized motor on it, but I got rid of it like a dingo dog, and now years later I'm like, dang, I wish I still had that frame. But yeah, this on here, I think this motor wise, this little riding lawnmower's got, I think, 2 issues with it. 1, carburetor. Number 2 might be ignition spark, where sometimes it's getting spark and sometimes it's not. So I don't know if really the carburetor per se was, I did the best I could at trying to figure out the carburetor system, because that's what I thought it was, just probably a clogged carburetor. So I did what I feel confident doing. I'm not a professional mechanic. Took some carb cleaner and tried cleaning up really good, and still acts up. And then I got to the way it was at, and I got to think, well, maybe the spark ignition coil, spark plug coil is bad, because whenever I get something like this, the first thing I do is I automatically go out and buy a brand new spark plug for it. I don't even mess with the old spark plug, take that out, don't care what it looks like. I went into my local hardware store, bought a brand new spark plug, and so I know it ain't the spark plug itself or something for some reason not turning it. I think this is a simple fix. I don't mess with this too much, because I know I got it, even though I got it for free, I don't want to make it worse than what it already is. So I just park it in here and not go any further with it. I think it's now officially beyond what I would be capable of doing and stuff. So yeah, and then all it is, and then plus it's got a tire off the rim, so the tire would have to be put back on the bead and then inflated, and then the motor and stuff fixed and stuff. It's not a bad riding lawnmower looking wise. Most likely, if a repair shop could repair this, they're going to use a lot of aftermarket Briggs & Stratton with the hay motor parts. Probably won't be able to see it on camera too much, but from the looks of it, the motor is a typical Craftsman branded Briggs & Stratton 10 horsepower, I believe. Matter of fact, let me give you all a close-up on this. But there's what kind of motor it has. This mower. It's one of the old green Craftsman riding lawnmowers. And I also know someone did the old famous safety seat delete, you know, where you have that safety feature where when you jump off the mower, it shuts off automatically. But yeah, it looks like to me about like a Briggs & Stratton Common. But it's just one of them little rear engine 10 horsepowers. But yeah, I got that free actually from a person that actually watches my YouTube channel. They gave it for free to me. There was a person that has some medical issues and can't work on riders no more, and then like I'll just go out and buy a new one and decide to give it to me and stuff. And it was one of those things where one day it was cutting grass and then the next minute, boom, it died and wouldn't start. So yeah, I think carburetor and spark plug would need to be looked at. So I'll have to someday when I know I got free time to do so, work on doing something with this and stuff, because I'm busy at my job working all the time. I don't get the opportunity to really put any thought and efforts into building up a YouTube channel, because that's the way life goes for me. I'm struggling trying to build up this YouTube channel and come up with content and stuff. And then plus, like doing product review videos, that all costs money and stuff. So I hold back on doing those, because the stuff I'd like to review would show on this channel costs quite a bit of money and stuff. And then getting this fixed is also going to cost money and stuff. And then like in the back here, I talked about this before on a YouTube video. Turning this on, I don't know if you can see it too good, but this boat trailer frame, I'm going to remove this. But I even talked about trying to turn this into like a go-kart and make a little drivable go-kart. It's just a standard old basic boat trailer frame, and I thought about trying to turn that into a nice adult two-seater go-kart sometime in the near future. That's another go-kart project. I actually did a video of me sanding it down with a sand grinder or sand. Yeah, I think I'd use my either my angle grinder or sander, sand off some of the old rust and paint and try to clean up. Still a solid frame and stuff. I thought that would be cool to build. Take like what this riding lawnmower has, like a vertical, like what this has, a vertical shaft motor, and put it on the front, and then make like a mini car almost. I thought what would be cool with that boat trailer frame is make it two-seater. Put like a standard, use like a standard H pattern style riding lawnmower common transmission. You know, nothing fancy, nothing that's gonna make the thing do 80, 90 miles per hour. You know, I wouldn't care to speed wise. Something that just looks cool, but make it a two-seater. What I thought about doing is cutting the back off of this and somehow widening the frame just a little bit, and then do like a standard H pattern style transmission, like my father's old wheel horse riding lawnmower he had. He had one of those where down between the rider's legs you would have a shifter, and it was just the standard old H pattern where you would have first and second, third, and then reverse and stuff. And I thought about something like that for like transmission, and use a vertical shaft, like small engine and stuff. What I almost thought about be funny to do is if I could figure out how to do it without having to add a transmission. Shouldn't do it. Get like a push lawnmower engine, maybe like a 5 horsepower push lawnmower engine, and then make it go like that, vertical shaft and stuff. Because the idea is to use a small engine that's going to be more common than say a side shaft motor, for example. Like over here, I got a roller tool that has a side shaft motor, but usually vertical shaft motors or engines are going to be more common, and I thought it would be fun to show people, hey, you can build like a little go-kart using that and stuff, if you have the creative mind, Make something that would be cool to show off in a parade or something, and then make like a little car body and make it look like some vintage 1900s, like looking like something that came out of the 1900s and stuff, And the trick would be is make it fully enclosed. That would be neat. That project's going to be something that's I would have to have a professional somewhere in Michigan near me, fabrication shop do, and that's going to be cha-ching, 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 money, 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 thousands of dollars, which I don't have. I would love to do that little project in the near future. Or I might even talk to a professional person that would say, that boat trailer frame's not enough metal, whatever. They might suggest, well, why don't we just build you a whole new thing from scratch, and then, and be like, okay, and stuff. Because what I picture in that, for like seating and stuff, like I picture like most classic cars of the 60s and 70s have, doing maybe like little bucket kind of seats, like the classic cars have them little black bucket seats on them, or just finding somebody that converting an old school bus into a motorhome, and adding maybe some bus seats, and add like maybe a bus bench seat and stuff. Or if I could squeeze one in, instead in the frame out, make it longer, a little bit longer, maybe add like another 2 bus seats, one for the driver and a passenger, and then one for like maybe some behind passenger or something, something that would, with that, like building that into a go-kart, it would be more something kind of more parade worthy, something that you would put in a parade and people would sit in their lawn chair and say, oh, well, that's kind of neat, and something that would get people kind of saying, oh, that's kind of neat, and you take it to maybe your local little car show or something, and people, they stand and chat about it and take pictures, just something kind of like that corny little, homemade project that people say, oh, that's kind of neat, and stuff, basically turning that into like a mini dune buggy, I guess you'd call it. But some people would say in the comment section on that, why waste the time? You're spending all kinds of money. Why don't just go buy a regular dune buggy? But yeah, you could do that. But that would probably be a lot cheaper and stuff. And then do a Volkswagen Beetle engine, like most of them do and stuff. But the thing is number one, I'm using a small engine just to be funny, because, well, big guy, do the math. And to me, it would be something different. It wouldn't be normal. I would do something that would be completely different than what most people do. It'd be more about creativity, the whole project would be, I'm that type of person. I call it wild ideas. Yes, I think to myself, if I had the money and the right kind of people, I can make it a reality, and I'm hoping someday to be able to do all that stuff. And that's what got me into, another reason that got me into a thing, try making a YouTube channel, and and simply talk about these ideas and share these ideas and see where they lead to, you know. Yeah, you don't know if you don't try, so yeah, and this boat trailer frame is just a standard basic. It's actually was made in the 70s. It's a later 70s boat trailer frame. It's just your standard old boat trailer frame that you find anywhere, you know. You go to your local flea market, garage sale, you know, the kind of frame that some old boy would have. I'll give you a little better view of it, you know, just your own standard, you know, what you normally find probably in some old boy's yard for sale for a couple $100, you know, the kind that you throw your aluminum rowboat on or your fiberglass rowboat and you go fishing. That's all this is. And so now some people, what they do with some of these trailers I've seen before is turn them into just a little flatbed utility trailer. I've seen that as well. Well, I've seen people do that, but I just think it would be more cool maybe someday when I know I got the money to add a motor to it and make like some sort of like kind of unique go-kart. What I thought about doing was just like this part right here and here, kind of this section here, maybe make that the section for the motor. I probably would have to make the frame a little bit longer and just a little bit here wider. I know it's got some angle bends in here, so I would have to figure a way to kind of, you'd probably end up having to take to a machine shop, fabrication shop, and they would have to do some pretty chopping up, but I figured with what metal is here, you know, add some more metal to it, you know, you could easily make something, or just simply make it a one-seater, but I would at least try to make it a two-seater. I would probably more, as far as like seating goes, I'd probably just get some bus seats, you know, a couple bus seats, and you could easily get one bus seat and have it in the front and then maybe one in the rear. And so if you to make it, you know, a 4-passengers thing, you'd probably have to send it out a little bit more. But if you added a second, like if you went with like what some people do in those classic cars, some standard black bucket seats, you would have to widen the frame just a little bit. Not much. I wouldn't widen it out too much because, again, it's going to cost money, and to cut down on cost, I would just extend it out a little bit, you know, where these sides you'd have to hack right here on the bottom. This portion right in here where my hand is, you would have to widen that out a little bit to make some room, because, you know, I'm a big boy, and if you have a passenger with you, you know, tight squeeze and stuff, and so you would have to widen this frame, probably just a little bit, not by much, a few inches on each side and stuff. It could be done, and then in the center, if I had to use a transmission, you know, just simply do a standard H pattern clutch style transmission. Just do one of those standard basic H pattern, put your foot down on the clutch and then you shift, and then when you want to shift again, you stop, shift, you know, kind of like a lot of the older riding lawnmowers have, just the old standard H pattern and stuff. But yeah, I would like to, more on this project, do maybe more like a vertical shaft and stuff. But if I did decide that, hey, it'd be less of a headache and just do a regular standard old horizontal side shaft, more like everybody uses on a go-kart, I would go with that, but I would mount the motor in the front instead of in the rear, just to kind of try to be different, you know. That's would be the whole point of that go-kart build, is just to simply try to be different and stuff. That's the whole point and goal of what I would do with that and stuff. But right now, money-wise, I don't have the funds to be doing all that stuff. For those of you who watch YouTube, I don't think some people fully understand, even after all this time YouTube's been out there, that YouTubers don't make a whole lot of money at times on this stuff. It's not like what it used to be. It used to be before YouTube was broken and stuff, back when it was good, you could make a decent little pocket change and stuff. But in order to get decent money off of YouTube, you really gotta work at it, and you really gotta have lots of viewers. You gotta be able to get a certain amount of money. If you want to make $1,000 a month off of YouTube, you probably most likely gonna have to have close to over 100,000 views or 1,000,000 views just to get people's attention, and you gotta make content that's gonna be worth watching, and so I try my best with little to no money to build up this YouTube channel and stuff, and try to. But one of the things is I'm also focusing on my daytime job, because, well, this house right here, I'm in the process of buying it, so I make sure to focus on the store that I work at. A lot of you already know where I work at. I'm not mentioning the company's name, but I work a wigware job, and so. And that wigware job is right now my only source of income. I don't consider what YouTube pays me really an income, because it's way below the minimum wage. I'm not even making minimum wage off of YouTube. I think in my state, minimum wage might be, when I first started working, I think it was around $7 or $6 an hour. I think it now might be up to like $10 an hour. I don't even pay attention to what the Michigan minimum wage is, but I know on YouTube, as far as the ad revenue money I make, I don't make that much. I don't make nearly the minimum wage, because YouTube only pays you about half of a penny, or like 20% of a penny on each view you get, I was just the other day googling how much money you make off of YouTube Shorts, and with YouTube Shorts, you gotta basically get like over 1,000 views just to even make one measly little penny off of the YouTube Shorts from what little Google searching I done. I went to Google and I typed in how much do you make on YouTube Shorts and stuff, and whatever, the algorithm, now they call that AI stuff, popped up, and I kind of looked at that and a few little other like Reddit and different ones, and determined you gotta, for YouTube Shorts like me, sometimes I get around maybe 300 to 500 views on YouTube Shorts. I don't get thousands and thousands of views on YouTube Shorts, so I don't hardly make any money off those shorts and nothing. You gotta get like, and if I do, I'm probably just making only one little measly penny and stuff. And people are always saying, well, why don't you do memberships and all that stuff? And I've mentioned time and time again, I'm not going to do all that stuff. I'm not going to do brand deals. I'm not going to sell merchandise and stuff, because I don't know how to really do any of that stuff. And if I try doing some of that stuff, I'd probably end up burning myself and hurting myself. And then plus, I want to help those in need. I want to help people out and stuff. And there's so many people out there right now in my situation. They ain't got money to go and buy a $5, $10, whatever t-shirt that says Boomhauer 69 on it. I know. And then on top of that, I would have to spend all kinds of time trying to find a company to make me t-shirts, or however you do all that merchandise crap. And then the stuff that I would personally love to put a logo on costs so much money. No. And I always, and what helps me is, well, there's so many people, nobody can afford it. I look from time to time at those promotional websites where they'll put your company's logo on a coffee mug or a little radio or something and stuff, and I always kind of look at that stuff and I think to myself, oh, what, how neat it would be to, if I had money, put a logo on there and make like a Boomhouse 69 logo and throw it on some little promotional radio and stuff, and I think what it would look like and stuff, because I look at that stuff, and that's all part of a business, but it's just, that stuff costs so much money. Like, the other day, I was looking at an idea for, like, oh, Halloween's coming up, oh, what to do for trick-or-treaters, and I gotta work on Halloween at my job. I looked at what day Halloween falls on, and it falls on a day that I have to work. And then I got thinking, well, what would be something, because at my job, they let employees, buy stuff and pass out at the store I work at. They allow employees, if they want, on certain holidays and stuff, buy up candy and stuff. Like if I wanted to buy up candy for Halloween and at my job on Halloween, pass out candy, the store director and person in charge, I could talk to them, they'd be like, they wouldn't have a problem with it, and I know and stuff, because I done it already. Like when I dressed up at my place of work for Santa Claus, they let me pass out wrapped candy canes and stuff, and I'm always respectful. But I was looking at these little light up sunglasses, them little novelty sunglasses that lights up, and I was curious about that. Yeah, well, see, because maybe I thought about a little bit around Halloween time, maybe around when I'm working, have a little baggie with some of them in it, and was looking at candy and stuff and different kind of things that would be kind of neat, that would be Halloween related, and I was like, yeah, I say to myself, no wonder when I was growing up, a lot of people just gave out Tootsie Rolls and butterscotch hard candy, because as an adult, I see the prices and I'm like, yep, no wonder I was a kid and was wondering where the Reese's and the Snickers were. Because even the fun-size Snickers bars and the little Reese's miniatures, the good candy, you're going to spend about $5 or $6 on a bag, and you might only get maybe 100 to 50 pieces of candy in the bag, and if you get a lot of trick-or-treaters, you get over, one year I had over 300 kids show up at my door, and you need a lot of candy to pass out, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, as an adult, I'm like, yeah, no wonder a lot of people just turn their lights off on Halloween and pretend to be Amish. Because, I see that stuff, and like this riding lawnmower I'm sitting on, I don't do anything with it right now because money-wise I can't afford to, and don't own a pickup truck, don't own a trailer, and I do know of a small engine repair shop that's I think they might be even Amish or Mennonite that run the place, and if I remember right, they do pickup and deliveries where they'll come and pick up your item and work on it and bring it back to you and stuff, and they did really good. I actually bought it's off camera over here, I bought a generator one time from a garage sale for $15 in this small engine repair shop in my area. I took it to them, and they cleaned up the carburetor and got it up and running and had that thing running beautiful, where now if my power goes out, I have at least a gas generator to get me by and stuff. I do want to replace that with solar. Well, for the time being, I have a gas generator, but that's why this thing always sits in the garage and nothing to be done with it. I do have a push lawnmower that runs, and I mow grass, but I do one day want to get this free running lawnmower, do something with it, get it up and running, or maybe pass it on to somebody else that would be able to do something with it. But it's just one of those, I'm always working all the time, so the people I know that could help me, they're always working, and it's one of those, with my schedule, I wouldn't be able to get anybody that can help me, because first of all, I work on the weekends. Most people have weekends off. And then the 2 days I do have off, they're during the week where most people are working. So it's a little bit of a challenge. But someday, when I get the funds, I'll do it. Because I know if I had this thing running right now, I'd be cutting my lawn. And in 5 or 10 minutes, I would have my lawn all nice and fancied up and stuff. But yeah. But yeah, just simply the YouTube thing, far as making money off on YouTube, as of right now, I'm not making that much. I don't get a whole lot of views and stuff. I think most of my videos right now have been averaging around 100 views per video and stuff. Not everybody's going to be able to sit and watch these talk videos and be into that sort of thing. And me being hard of hearing and talking funny from being hard of hearing, that can also have a lot of effect on people watching my videos and stuff, because after a while people are going to watch the video and they're going to be like, well, I can't hardly understand this guy, so they're going to click off, which is understandable. But and so as far as like I said before, I got kind of off track, but the memberships and the merch and all that stuff, I look at it from being in a situation where I don't have a whole lot of money and stuff. I'm not that well-to-do, and I'm not no rich guy. I'm just the average old paycheck to paycheck guy type person. I want to make my channel free, because I look at it, when I finally get the money and make enough money where I can do the things I want to do on this YouTube channel, and because I have a ton of ideas, I want to make it free, so that way people have something to watch for free, because I know there ain't much out there for free. Like, I don't want to do the whole become a member and get exclusive content, you know. I'm not doing that, because it's not fair to the person that says, boy, if I had the money. Because if you're broke and you're living paycheck to paycheck, don't be going spending money on Netflix, Hulu, YouTube Premium, and all that stuff. Save every little bit of pennies you can and make smarter choices with that. To me, right now, in my situation, if I went out and bought Hulu, Netflix, YouTube Premium, or any of that stuff, or whatever Facebook has, what they call it, promote your videos or whatever, and spend all kinds of money I didn't have, that would be the stupidest thing a person could do. I could do. That would be stupid. And I save up every little bit of pennies, because I'm in the process of buying this house. My daytime job paycheck goes to getting this house paid off, so I have a roof over my head. And then when I get this house paid off, then it's going to be, okay, what does this house need to make it livable, and what kind of repairs? And it's going to be taking my paycheck and saving up to make house repairs and doing smart things, and then of course saving up for maybe at that time another vehicle and different things, and being more smart. That's why you don't see me going out buying knives and flashlights and solar kits and all this stuff off the internet, because right now I don't have the money to be doing those stuff, and what money I do have, if I don't save it and do right with it, it would hurt me in a lot of big ways. But I do these videos, these talk videos, because I feel like that's one way of helping people out. You know, people can watch these, they might get some ideas and whatever, you know, and it might even encourage them, you know, in their situation and stuff. And then two, for me, it's something when I do make this channel successful, when I finally hit it big on YouTube and in the internet world, I want to be able to look back at where I was and say, I remember that guy and not forget where I came from. So that way, when I have them millions and billions of dollars, I'll remember where I came from, and it will encourage me to, help others and stuff, to help those in need and things, and be able to simply do what Jesus Christ wants us to do, as far as like the whole help thy neighbor and give and help those in need, like in the Bible it talks about if you have two shirts and the guy standing next to you has no shirt, take one off, give it to him and stuff, and I want to do that, because I look at it, all of this, it's God's doing. It's Jesus Christ of Nazareth that's letting me do it. So when I look at it, if Jesus is going to let me do this, then I have to do something for him and repay him back. And I feel like wanting to help people in need and stuff, that's what I think God would want, God's not coming to me and say, hey, give me $1 million. No, when I become that rich, well-to-do guy, he doesn't want me coming to him and say, oh, here's that $1 million and stuff. No, he wants me to take that $1 million and do right with it and stuff. And if I got like $2 million or $5 million, and I know I don't need $5 million to live my lifestyle, then, take some of that and give to others and stuff. Like these people who are billionaires and they just throw all their money in a bank account and living lavishly while their friends and family members are suffering and stuff. That's ridiculous. And this, if I had $1 billion right today, I'll tell you right now, I guarantee I could help some people out in need and still at the end of the day have money left over when I'm getting on. That's, to me, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if there's anything out there that costs $1 billion. Maybe if you build a big old high-rise building or some sort of fancy house maybe, but I know me, I couldn't spend $1 billion in a day, unless I had a bunch of homeless people lined up and I gave it all to them maybe, but I would definitely, when I become well-to-do, share the wealth in some way or form, help out those in need, and, that's why I talk about building in a video about a homeless shelter, because I would love to be a millionaire and a millionaire, trillionaire, billionaire, what the hey, and, be like the TV show Beverly Hillbillies where Jed Clamp, be like Jed Clampett, where one day I'm a poor old country hillbilly like I am now, and the next minute I'm a rich fella, and be able to build a homeless shelter in my area and try to figure out, what is needed in the low income housing and stuff. Because, when I was a kid growing up, I had to use some of those services that are out there for people in need. My mom and dad had to go to the Department of Human Services, the welfare office, I always call it, and say, hey, I need help, and so I know what it's like and stuff. I grew up as a kid, when I got toys and stuff, they came from Goodwill or garage sale and stuff. Most of the toys I had were hand-me-downs or some sort of Goodwill garage sale toy, and I lived happily and stuff, I always found something cool to occupy my mind and stuff. Like when I was a kid, I didn't right away get the newest and latest and greatest Nintendo machine. When everyone else was playing with Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, and when those were a thing, I was sitting at home playing a 1985 Nintendo Entertainment System and playing 8-bit Mario Brothers and trying to beat Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3, which I still to this day never beat those games and stuff. And when I wanted a video game, you know what I did? I went to the pawn shops and the secondhand stores and seen what they had for video games. I didn't go to Kmart, Walmart, Myers, and Montgomery Ward's or whatever store, you know, and bought the brand new latest and greatest console. And actually, when it came to PlayStation, like PlayStation 2, I never owned a PlayStation 1 or really played a PlayStation 1. I did one time at a flea market, bought a box of video games and it had a PS1 in it, but no games, so I don't consider technically considering that actually owning a game. I could, a PlayStation or playing it because it had no games, and I just ended up in this tote box of games. I just kept what I wanted in that PlayStation 1, and certain ones just went and sold. But yeah, I always, for the longest time, the most played video game console I ever played was a Nintendo Entertainment System from 1985. That's the one that I played a lot and had the most games of, because at the time when I was a kid growing up, they were cheap. They was everywhere for like a couple dollars or even 50 cents. You could go to a pawn shop or secondhand store or whatever and buy you all kinds of 8-bit games while everyone else was playing PlayStation 2s and Xboxes and or N64s and stuff. I was still playing with the 80s, these Nintendo machine. And even when I did get as a kid the Nintendo Entertainment and Nintendo 64, which was the newest console I ever owned as a kid growing up, because I didn't have a Super Nintendo, though I was my brother saved up for a Nintendo 64, and then I had that, and I played that a little bit, but I was more playing the Nintendo, because, well, the 80s Nintendo machine, because games were a lot more cheaper than versus the N64, and were a lot more, in the 80s Nintendo machine, the 8-bit games were a lot cheaper versus the N64 games, so I played the 8-bit more than I did the Super Nintendo as a kid growing up. I'd say I had about maybe 15 games at one time for the N64, and that was about it. But I had way more for the 8-bit and stuff. And then I also had outdated Game Boys. I remember those Game Boys. While everybody else was having Game Boy Color, I had the big old bulky the first Game Boy, which everyone, the first big bulky Game Boy and stuff, while everybody else was using Game Boy Colors and Pocket Game Boys, and it wasn't until the color Game Boy became basically obsolete is when I finally got a Game Boy Color. That was years later when people were selling them at the garage sale because their kid had the newer system, you know. But yeah, so when I think of all that stuff, that's why I don't do certain things that other YouTubers do and stuff, and because I feel like some people are on that stuff I would be thinking about like membership programs, even if I didn't do any content or anything, and just let people pay money to be a member and brag about being a member. Even if I only made the membership 25 cents or $1 or whatever, you know, I'd be afraid there'd be people that don't have that money that would still be trying to be a member on my channel when they really don't got the money, and I would feel like that wouldn't be right. So that's why I don't care to do all that stuff. It's because, like merchandise stuff, I don't have the money to be trying to create merch and all that stuff, and I don't know how to do it, and when I think about it at the end of the day, do I really care to do that stuff? Absolutely not. So that's why you don't see that stuff. And I just anymore. I made the decision to prove to, when building up this YouTube channel, prove to people with little to no money you can do it, and just off the ad revenue, reinvest that money back into YouTube in some way, shape, or form, like the little pantry I did. That's was just whatever. I restart that little pantry from time to time with whatever money I make off from YouTube. That's one way I reinvest and stuff, and so that's what I do. Just the ad revenue, nothing else. If I am on making videos and stuff, I just the ad revenue. Now I do the PayPal thingy, because I know still and stuff. I do that a little bit too, but I don't mention that too much. Again, because I'm always worried about somebody giving money when they don't have the means to and stuff. Because some people will like on like PayPal and stuff, donate to their favorite YouTuber just to look cool and big in front of all their friends and stuff, and in reality they ain't got the money to that, and I don't think that's right and stuff. So that's why I do that, but I don't talk about it too much. I just put a link in the description usually, and to let people know it exists, Boomhour69 channel PayPal account, and then I know some people like to help others out and stuff, and so when I do the little pantry videos, I talk about the PayPal and that, so if people want to, that like the idea and say, well, how can I donate? I tell people, hey, if you live out of state, or you live in another area, and or you just live in the area but you want to donate money to that cause, I let people know about the PayPal so they can, if they want to, they can donate. But please, if you truly are struggling, don't donate to that PayPal account if you can't afford it. Don't hurt yourself. I always gotta remind myself now to not bankrupt myself and stuff, and like this little go-kart idea. Yeah, I could probably save up the money and go buy parts for all that stuff, and then what would happen if I'd have a garage full of parts that I wouldn't even know how to put together to make something out of it? So, and I don't really have the funds. I don't have the money to do that. So why be stupid and buy up a bunch of stuff and fill up a garage and you can't do anything with it and stuff? That's just pointless and silly. So I be smart with my money, what I do get, and basically the money I make from my daytime job is keeping a roof over my head and keeping the lights on and stuff. So that's what I do with what money I make, and then what few pennies I do make off of YouTube, it's either off the views or either most time, as of right now, I've been going to keeping the lights on and keeping this fat boy happy, be as far as food goes sometimes, but yeah, that's just what I'm doing and stuff, and since I'm working all the time, I don't really get an opportunity to say, okay, sit down and figure out what's going to be a good video to talk about, like, and stuff, or like in the past, I used to do a little bit, find articles and stuff and kind of voice a little bit my opinion, but I don't do that much because I don't have the free time and stuff, so. But yeah, I'm trying my best at this, and I know it's just been about 4 days ago since I uploaded a video, and I thought, yeah, why not just make another little talking video and stuff, and talk about some of these ideas I have and things, but yeah, that's why I don't do a lot of that stuff, and I'm going to keep talking about that in these sort of videos, so you're going to hear that a lot about the whole why I don't do certain things on YouTube and stuff. It's because I want to try to make this channel basically as 100% free as possible. I know that's a challenge because I do want to try to prove to other YouTubers that even with just the ad revenue money, even though it's sometimes not much, you can still build up a YouTube channel and stuff, you know. And it's also good for me because it challenges me to try to figure out when I do have free time to make a video is to make something that's going to make a lot of people want to actually sit and watch the whole video and encourage me to try to make a good video that people are going to want to watch from start to finish, that's going to make the ad revenue and stuff and bring in that money and stuff. So yeah, oh no, it's a little bit of a challenge for me, you know, and stuff, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep working on it, try to figure out some things. That Frito-Lay's video, that's doing pretty good on Instagram. I don't make no money off of Instagram, but either way, Facebook, Instagram, I don't make money off of them, but I still like it because it brings traffic to my YouTube channel where I do make money on. YouTube is the only social media platform that I'm actually monetized on as far as videos go. And I just use Facebook and Instagram to advertise my YouTube videos and stuff and try to gain more people to the my YouTube channel, you know, gain more traffic, I guess you would call it and stuff. So that's what I do there and stuff. I tried one time trying to get monetized on Instagram and something, and it just didn't work, and it kept entering, and so I thought, screw it, you know. And even then, off of Instagram, I'd only be making a few pennies anyways, but yeah, and then I was a little bit on Facebook monetized on Facebook Reel videos, but something happened where they no longer let me collect money off from the Reel videos and stuff, so I don't get very much monetization there on Facebook and stuff, because well, what happened was I filmed a video of a lightning storm in my area, and I accidentally posted it to Instagram and Facebook, the same video on Facebook and Instagram, and that was a big no-no, and I didn't realize it. Facebook sent me a notification saying we're no longer going to allow you to make money off your videos on Facebook and stuff. They kind of demonetized my videos because they don't like cross-posting. So when you upload to Facebook, and I didn't catch it in time, and I'm like, that must be a mistake, so I trying to dispute it, you know, like they do, and that's taking forever and stuff, because I made an accident, a boo-boo, and they wouldn't even let me correct my boo-boo in a timely manner. So that's the corruption for you on Facebook and Instagram, on Meta. That's Zuckerberg for you, you know, and stuff. You know, those people are, you know, the rich people in this country are forgetting who's in charge, and the people that are in charge are forgetting that they're in charge. You know, it's we the people. Same thing goes for Facebook, you know. You know, if Zuckerberg don't be careful, you know, somebody else is going to come along, and which they already are, make their own version of a social media, and if that catches on, then what is Zuckerberg going to do? You know, I think sometimes some of these companies like Google, Facebook, and Instagram, their censorship, I think, I feel like there's more harm than good to the company and stuff, and I'm 100% against censoring people and stuff. I think that's silly and stuff, you know. And to me, if Facebook would have never demonetized me, I would have been more into posting videos to Instagram and Facebook, but I kind of don't too much, and when I do, it's just simply to try to reach more people and stuff, you know. But yeah, So I don't make any money off on Facebook, Instagram when I upload videos over there and stuff. And again, all I do is I'm just a little bit here and there advertising my YouTube channel and stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to do all that merchandise and all that stuff like I said before and stuff. I'm going to just basically add revenue only, try to make videos and stuff, because the way my busy schedule is, I couldn't manage all that stuff anyways, and so that's why I'm just going to be on YouTube anyways, just on YouTube, monetization, add revenue. That's how Boomhauer 69 is going to make his money, and then I'm just going to leave the little PayPal thingy up for people that might want to, that would like to help and stuff. And again, if you ain't got the money, don't be donating to that thing and stuff. Only do it when you know you can safely do it. And don't do some random, ravish, ridiculous high amount of money. No, don't be a big shot and try to act like you missed your money, you know. If you donate to that PayPal account, make sure it's because you can, and don't, you know, do some big, don't try to be a big shot or a big spender and stuff. Once I start making tons and tons of money off from YouTube, where I'm making like millions, thousands of dollars off from YouTube ad revenue, I'm getting rid of that PayPal account right away. I'm gonna delete that and get rid of it. And that will be no more. I just put that up because I noticed a lot of other YouTubers were doing something kind of similar, and I thought, and just to kind of basically help the algorithm out, and help my YouTube channel out a little bit, I'll do that and stuff. But most of the time, since I got the little pantry thing out there, whatever money I make off from PayPal, it just goes towards buying stuff to restock that pantry and stuff. And like you people, when you donate and you say, hey, for the pantry, or you even just mention anything about that little pantry, the money automatically goes right to helping that little pantry out and stuff. There's a few times where I took in money from that PayPal account, you know, in the past, and used it to throw some gas on my car to go back and forth to work, or make a trip to the Mickey D's or whatever, because I got a brother that loves her French fries. And my thoughts, I should do a video one of these days about what I think about McDonald's, but yeah, that loves fries, and sometimes I spend a little on the Mickey D's there, you know, but yeah, but if you do give to that PayPal account, again, only because you know you can afford to do so and stuff. Don't be doing it when you don't have no money and stuff, and stuff. So yeah, I don't have fun. But yeah, I'm doing this. The way I'm doing this whole YouTube thing is to prove to people out there who think that when you're broke, you can't make no money. Yes, you can. It's a challenge, that I love. I love the challenge. I love it. Well, I love it right now because it encourages me to not give up and stuff. But you can do it. You can, when you're only making whatever your minimum wage is in your country or state, you can do it. You can do it, you know. You just gotta put your mind to it. Do what I do. Just make talk videos and talk about random things and random stuff, and make yourself look like some psychopathic lunatic out there on the YouTube if you want, you know. I know some people probably think that, and I don't care, you know. I think it's kind of funny when people say, oh, you shouldn't talk about yourself that way. I don't care. I think it's funny. You know, when I talk about being fat and overweight, well, I'm fat and overweight, so, you know, I acknowledge it. You know, I'm one of those people, I got a sense of humor. I laugh at a lot of things. Trust me, I do. I laugh at a lot, but yeah, it don't bother me, like me and stuff, and sometimes I will run myself down just to give me that encouragement to, proceed to be better and stuff, It's not being always negative, like sometimes I'll make a posting on Facebook and it might sound negative, but it's actually, for me, it's just positive to light the firecracker under my butt and to continue to do stuff. Like, I had the opportunity one day to visit the old mobile home trailer that I grew up in and seeing how that was, and that was just another reminder to me, hey, don't sit around and be a bum. Get up and do the right things, because and when you get money, do right with it, like this house. Once I'm making all kinds of money off from YouTube, you're gonna definitely see some videos of Boomhauer69 remodels his house and stuff, because this house, the last time it was remodeled was back in the 80s, and so it's got some cosmetic updating coming its way when I get the money. Like, this house has an old dirt floor, they call it Michigan basement, but dirt floor basement. Fieldstone foundation dirt floor basement where when you go down in the basement to check the furnace or check your water pipes, or like, I didn't turn it on this year, but I have a main shutoff valve to my garden hose where every winter before the cold weather comes, I go down the basement to turn my garden hose off for the season. You gotta do this when you're walking down there. You gotta hunch over and it's dark, dingy, dirty, where part of the house is on the basement foundation and the other part's a crawl space, and my furnace takes up so much room and stuff. But if you ever watched abandoned house videos on YouTube and the explorer guy goes into a old 100-year-old house with a dirt floor basement, it's just like any old standard dirt floor basement where you see one, you see, oh, that's why I don't do videos of, oh, this is what a 100-year-old basement looks like, because they're all the same, it's just an old fieldstone foundation. And plus, you gotta watch. I'm the type of person that if I went down that basement and tried to film and talk about the 100-year-old basement, I'd bump my head and knock myself out and end up in the ER somewhere, because I wasn't paying attention, so that's another reason. And it's so dark and dingy down there. There's only one light socket that works, and it's really, not really good lighting in there, so I don't do any videos showing that basement and stuff. And there's nothing to see down there. It's just water pipes, electricity, a furnace, and that's it. And then off to the one side where the kitchen is, there's a crawl space. And so my goal is to, in the near future, when I know I got the money to do it, I would like to jack this house up, put a modern style full basement where I could actually have a functioning basement that I can actually use. What I almost do is in the basement, when putting in a newer basement is do something that would be big enough where it would eliminate the crawl space, make the basement bigger, because I would love to put a little bit of an addition onto this house, add a little bit onto the first floor and the second floor, where basically there's way the kitchen is. I basically tear the kitchen off and make the kitchen, make a bigger kitchen, and where where there'd be more room to the upstairs of this house, and just make it a little bit more bigger, not by much, but. And then when it came to the basement, make something where it would be basically like a mini apartment down there, where you could where it would be like a functioning kind of like, I guess you call it like guest room or whatever, like some people have, but make a nice actual functioning basement where you'd have one big main room down there with a bathroom and maybe one bedroom down there, make like a little one bedroom, little kind of like mini apartment, I guess you'd call it, or man cave, whatever. I don't know the proper terminology, like guest room or something, because what most like cabinet would be technically two bedrooms, but one of them would be used for the washer, the dryer, and all the utilities and stuff. Because if it was me and and my brother wasn't living here with me, or he wasn't kind of in the picture of it, he likes this garage. If it was me, I'd probably just take out the garage and not even bother with a garage and stuff, because this garage is old, and so what I'm going to do is, with this garage anyways, is once I'm able to have the money to repair this house, fix it up the way I'd want to, all the electricals, the service panel is in this garage. I would then move that into the basement and stuff, and put it in the utility room. So that's why, if I could, the basement idea would be essentially a 2-bedroom, where one of the bedrooms would end up being the utility room, as they call it, and stuff, where you'd have your hot water heater, your washer and dryer, your electrical service panel, your circuit breaker panel, and all that goody stuff, and everything, and put that all in one room and stuff, and have a normal standard, full kind of furnished basement, nice basement and stuff. Because I figure this house has already got a basement on it, why not go that? The cheaper route would be do what some people would do is pour a cement slab and then set the house on a cement slab, and then have a little teeny weeny little crawl space type thing, I lived in a single wide mobile home trailer as a kid growing up with no basement underneath it, and that had a little crawl space, and I thought to myself about that. I said, if I can do it, my goal would be, what's fixing up this house with me, is put a nice full basement in and stuff. The foundation is fine, it's just outdated, and if I can get the money, I would totally fix this, put a modern basement in it and stuff, and make it like a mini apartment kind of setup, where if you have guests come over, or in the near future, like I know some people from a church and stuff, and the church has that I'm actually buying the house from, the church organization. They have a missionary group and stuff, and if in a pinch, I know somebody that is an active missionary and stuff. If he said, hey, Justin, I have some people that need a place to stay, and I heard you might have some extra room or something and stuff, I could say to, hey, missionaries, you're welcome to come have a stay and stuff, in the near future. That's why I would make a functioning, full furnished, like, basement with basically a little 1-bedroom apartment in it and stuff, and everything. Because right now, that basement, the only thing that's down there is just a furnace, and you really can't do much down there. And yes, I could probably, maybe if I had a garden and was doing canning, I could probably store cans down there, but then again, mice and rats would probably knock over the cans, bust them, and then my food storage would be hindered by vermins and rodents. But I would, on this house, make up an actual, I call it, functioning basement. And then the only thing left would be, obviously, new roof on this house at that time, especially putting an addition on. You'd have to completely redo the roof and stuff, and all those things, and even new windows in this house, and a new entry door and stuff. All that stuff costs thousands and thousands of dollars, and right now, my pennies, not going to happen. You have to, in order to do a basement, I think it would probably cost, from the type of basement I would do, around maybe $50,000 to $60,000. It's going to take a lot of money. I don't know the exact numbers on how much it would cost, but I would say easily, just for a basic, you know, you're going to spend, I think, about around 60, maybe $80,000 just for a new foundation, and then you go to put a roof on. That's going to be another, what, $10,000-$15,000, and I wouldn't put a shingle roof on. I'd go like what this house has got, a metal roof. Put a metal roof on, because metal roofs last longer than, well, shingle roofs. Shingle roofs, you know, I think the cheap basic shingles are only going to be a 25-year lifespan, where after 25 years is up, boom, you got to be up on the roof replacing the shingles again, and, you know, and then in a windstorm, sometimes shingles can go flying off and stuff, and I know metal roofs, to me, from what I've seen stuff, and my brother works for a construction company, they would be even to me, yeah, if you got the money, go with a metal roof, because that in the long run is going to be a lot better route to go and stuff as far as roofing goes and stuff. But yeah, my ultimate goal is, when I get the money, this 100-year-old house that was built in 18, the hay, I call it 18. It was built in the 1800s, late 1800s. This 100-year-old house, I would love to remodel it. And then this garage, as far as electrical goes, I would cut all the electrical out of it and make it where this garage has no electricity to it. So if in the near future, for whatever reason, this garage had to go, it would make it easier to dismantle it and stuff and things. But that's what I would do. Is I'd probably this garage is a kind of funny add-on lean-to garage thingy and stuff. I don't feel like it's really worth trying to fix up and say, where I'd probably just to save on money, I would just cut out this garage, and then just add like a little storage shed out back and stuff. Because the way this garage is set up, it's hard to drive a car in here and stuff. And there's really, to make a garage that you could actually park a car in, there's really not much space here, because there's only 2 feet, and then you got the property line, and I feel like there's not enough space to make an actual garage here that you could actually drive a car in and park it for the winter and stuff. So I feel like I wouldn't even bother with a garage here. If it was my idea, I would probably just tear this garage down and not even have a garage here. But my brother, he likes it because you can still use it as a workshop and stuff. And so he would probably, if it was his way of money, and he would like to keep it, and if I ever had the money, and we both had the money, he would be wanting to make it nice and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with this garage. As far as I know, there ain't any leaks or any like weird rotting or anything going on. It's built right for the day it was built. I think this was probably built in the 40s or 50s, so it was built to the olden day standards. But as far as worst case scenario, if I had to take this garage down, I feel like it would be kind of pointless trying to add another garage here and stuff. And I think with modern day building codes, they probably wouldn't allow a structure here. And I just think it would be kind of pointless, because if you try to rebuild this garage, like rebuild a garage here, you wouldn't be able to build one to pull a car in and stuff. It would be way too hard and complicated, because the main structure of the house kind of takes up some space in this garage, and so it just you couldn't, I don't think, could do it in it, and then for storage, worst case scenario, you just get a wiggle roll. I would just do a wiggle roll, old 2 shed out back like everybody does, and then do something like that. Just have a shed out back to store lawn care items and stuff, or since the little mud room is right here, use that as maybe like a little storage tool shed, and add maybe a nice a nicer wider door to get a mower or something in and out and stuff. But yeah, I probably, in reality, I probably wouldn't save this garage and then just have a storage shed out back for storing lawn care equipment and stuff, and not even bother. I don't know. It would be whatever some professional construction builder guy would think, and what all you could do at the end. But definitely on this house, new foundation, new roof, windows, doors, the common stuff, and make a nice functioning space. I know my brother is trying to run a drafting business out of this house, so I would, when I got the money, I would set it up where the first floor of this house would be his own commercial office space. Then the second story would be his own little living quarters, and then have the basement as a type of living quarters / apartment, and then maybe the upstairs of this house make a functioning like type little apartment or whatever, and then the downstairs make it a nice functioning kind of more commercial type office space kind of vibes and stuff. Still, it would be a single family home, but just a few little changes and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the idea I want to do with this house and remodel and stuff. But yeah, and that's basically all it is on my whole YouTube channel. It's just the whole ad revenue thing. I said this numerous times in previous videos. It's just, I'm just only going to try to make money through the ad revenue on YouTube and stuff, and that's my goal, because I want to be able to actually prove to people that you can do it, and show the world that, hey, you can still, through the YouTube ad revenue, ad scene revenue, you can do it and stuff, and prove to people that even though some people would say YouTube is broken, it's still possible if you try hard enough. It's just, you gotta put your efforts in and try hard enough, Think about stuff, Think about what could you do, Like me, I do walking, talking videos on my local nature show. All it is, it's free. I get exercise, and I get to talk to the people that enjoy these sort of videos and stuff, If you think about it, you can be creative. If you like drawing pictures, you like taking a coloring book and coloring in pictures, or drawing paintings and stuff, make a video about it and post it on the internet. I actually have a childhood friend that does painting, and I'm always kind of to his mother and his family, boy, if he made a time-lapse video of him doing those paintings, he'd probably can make some decent money, because actually, to me, YouTube I feel like is a great way to make a little pocket change, If you do it right, you can be making millions and millions of dollars. Or if you're somebody that just doesn't mind making a few little pennies to be able to buy you a McDonald's cheeseburger or a Burger King cheeseburger or something, hey, Because right now, that's basically what I make off from YouTube is enough to a little bit here and there, walk into a McDonald's or a Burger King and say, yeah, I'd like to have the number 2 or whatever burger and stuff, I like the Burger King Bacon King burger. That's the one I'm always getting, and stuff, but yeah. So yeah, basically, the money that I make from my daytime job, it's going towards getting this house paid off, so I can legally own it and stuff, and not owe any debt on it. And that's what I'm doing, is working on paying this house off. So every week, all my paycheck from my daytime job goes to that and stuff. So that's why I'm not buying products and doing all these product reviews or food reviews too much, because I'm really paying attention to what I spend money on and stuff, and Maybe someday that can change where I can do maybe a few more product review videos and stuff, and hopefully I make enough money off this YouTube channel where I can do a YouTube video about Boomhauer 69 and remodels this house and do a like the old TV show they used to have on PBS, this old house, and be able to do something like that and have a camera person follow me around and I'm talking and explaining what's going on and stuff, like those home improvement shows do and stuff, and like what was that, the HGTV or whatever, that one cable program where they have a lot of those model shows and stuff and bring you people along and stuff, and so I'm always trying to figure out, with no money, what to make a video about and stuff, and usually I just do these random talk videos where I just start talking about things that just pop in my head and go from there to help try to make money. Some people like these videos, some people hate them, and I know there's some people out there that watch these videos and thinking, is that guy mentally ill? There's people that are going to think that too, thinking that I'm some mentally ill person and saying that boy needs to see a psychiatric doctor or whatever, Trust me, I'm not crazy. Yeah, definitely not. And yes, being a kid, hard of hearing and talking funny, lazy eye, trust me, when I was in school, them teachers were convincing my parents, get your kid checked out, because the thing with me is, it wasn't until I was in the 3rd grade, I was about 9 years old when they discovered, oh, he's just hard of hearing. Because I was always talking funny and being really loud and stuff, and the teachers say, hey, use your indoor voice, and they would say, darn it, Justin, use your indoor voice. What did I just got done telling you? And it took them a while to, people to start figuring out. I think that I would say my school teachers were the ones that, hey, something's up with your kid. And then my parents went into a doctor, and I went to a ear and throat specialist in Grand Rapids, and the doctor by now could be that diagnosed me with the hearing problem. He could be passed on now or simply retired. I don't know, but I remember going and they like, oh, he's just hard of hearing, that's all and stuff. So yeah. So that's how they determined, and then after that they made sure I've numerous times been tested to make sure I'm not actually a Fruit Loop, or mentally ill or anything like that. So I call it a Fruit Loop. I make fun of that stuff, and if people don't like it, well, it's a joke. Relax, I love making people laugh. I make fun of myself all the time, That's why I call my YouTube channel Boomhauer 69, because I'm making fun of the way I talk sometimes, and I don't care. That's how I am. But, yeah. I'm going to end this video and stuff, but that's what's going on in my life. I'm just focusing on working my daytime job and focusing on getting this house paid off so I can start working on saving up the money to fix this house up and make it beautiful and stuff. And then then YouTube is kind of the second thing and stuff. But yeah, my ultimate goal is, big time, is to make it big on YouTube and be able to help people out that are in my situation. That's the biggest goal I want to do on YouTube, is to be able to help those in need and stuff. Because I'm in that situation right now where I'm living the paycheck to paycheck. I know how it is, and if Jesus Christ of Nazareth lets me, I'm gonna give back, because that's what I feel like the Lord wants me to do and stuff. And so that's one of the things I'm always trying to do, is figure out how can I make YouTube videos that will allow me to do that, to give and stuff. Because I'm always coming up with tons and tons of ideas, but I realize, oh, that costs too much money. Like the little, at my place of work and stuff, I was thinking about the other day, Halloween and what to buy and stuff, but everything costs so much money, I might even just say, forget about it and stuff. But I don't know. It all depends if I got the money at the time to do stuff. So, and as a kid growing up, going trick-or-treating door to door and people passing out candy and thinking, why am I all getting this Tootsie Rolls and butterscotch? Well, as an adult, I see why and I know why. So, yeah. So if you like this sort of content, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Comment your thoughts below. Did you think this was a good video, bad video, whatever? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because that's going to help me, Boomhauer69, in growing this channel and helping YouTube, Google YouTube algorithm to say, hey, people want to see Boomhauer69. So you subscribing actually does help me out in ways and stuff. And make sure you share this video and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to try my best. I'm not going to give up on building up this YouTube channel, because trust me, one day I will figure out what it takes and say, aha, I got it and stuff. So hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching. Because I better shut up or this thing's going to die on me because the battery's low.